How's your day, Reg?
So good. It's really great. So we've topped over 800 people checking into the event today. So there's definitely a lot of craziness happening all over. I'm just excited to be in front of everybody here. So speaking of in front of everybody, Coin is one of the hottest new technology startups. Everyone is talking about you. It's obviously been super easy, right? Putting all this stuff together. Give us a little bit of the backstory why it was so easy.
Yeah, it was so easy. It took so many years to do this. The backstory behind Coin starts basically in 2008 or so, when mobile came out and it became more and more obvious with iOS SDK that a lot of stuff's gonna happen on the mobile platform. And back then, I was really curious about the whole space, how something in your hand can do stuff when you're walking around rather than lugging around a desktop or a laptop. So what me and a bunch of other guys did over time was we created all sorts of apps that do commerce and payments and all this kind of fun stuff. And every time we released it, we got a bunch of downloads, but we never got any usage. It was really funny. People wanted it, but they couldn't use it. In 2010, we made an app which was kind of like Square Wallet. You can see the picture on the cash register of the customer, and you can easily charge them, and then the customer does not need to take out the phone or use cards or anything. It was like a futuristic technology kind of experience. But after we put it in the field for a few months, there was no money flowing in the system at all, and we couldn't figure out why. So at some point we realized that, hey, the people who had our wallet app never found a merchant who had the merchant app, and vice versa. It was impossible, with 200 million folks paying and tens of millions of merchants for them to find each other enough time so it's worth adopting a new technology. And that's where the idea of Coin came about, because what Coin allows you to do is, it's a device, it holds all your cards, and what it does is it interfaces with the existing infrastructure. So the merchant does not need to change what's behind the counter, while a consumer can take the benefits of Coin and start using it from day one.
I think that's really important. I think that being able to take, and you guys that are building wearable technology startups, being able to take a habit that's already established and integrating yourself into an already established habit is extremely difficult. So it's taken it out of BJ Fogg's book. So that's one of the things. And I will tell you, everybody I know wants to own, one of these Coin wallets. Everyone's just super excited about having the actual product. And so creating a product that creates a convenient life is one of the harder things that you could put together. Tell us a little bit about what you saw with the financial conditions of today that gave you that ability and that insight to actually create a product that people are hungry for.
Yeah, so, Coin is really not there to solve the payment problem, because none of us ever have an issue for paying. We always successfully are able to pay someone when we want to buy something. It doesn't really, I've never heard someone say, I tried to buy that and, I couldn't pay for it. I wish I could.
Yeah.
So what we did was we tried to address the things around it. So for our demographic, our initial audience, people who carry around a bunch of stuff, it's not really that big of a deal, but when you do it every day, it kind of adds up.
Yeah.
So there's folks out there who will go out of the way to reduce their, burden per se. And all we were trying to do is hit that little segment of people who do that. We didn't really care about creating a mainstream set of features that hit everybody all at once.
Yeah.
So we did find those users, and basically all they want to do is, just carry less stuff. But under the covers, what we're doing is we're actually turning this plastic into something digital. Because a Coin, the device, shares, the same architecture as, let's say, what a phone would, including screens and connectivity and the kind of chipsets we're using and things like that. So the underlying measure of that is that we want to bring the financial world of real life into a digital medium.
I think that's fascinating. And so when you see, so you guys see yourselves as kind of the front runner, taking this paper. I was at a convenience store and they still took checks the other day, which blew my mind. I wanted to go find some just because it had been a while since I'd done it. So you're taking this and really transitioning and transferring this over and bringing banking into digital. How do the incumbents feel about that? Like, what are your reactions with them? And tell us a little bit about the business development that you guys roll through and some of the obstacles you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the most asked topics, for me personally when I meet folks. So, being this early in coin and creating this device, pretty much takes up all of our time. So at first, we're just focused on delivering it, which is really the key in this space, is delivering your device. And in the meantime, what we have done is we have done a little bit of outreach and back channeling to see how everyone feels about it. And everything has come back positive. I can't talk about the specifics of who we have talked to and how much we have talked to, but pretty much unanimously from the financial organizations, people have been in support of what we're doing. And we have let everyone know that we're really friendly. So we want to work together with everyone, and create new channels of revenue for all the companies. So it's been good thus far.
So I've been doing this whole crystal ball thing a lot. Like, if you look into the crystal ball, where do you see, wearables on the financial consideration sense going in the next year, 2 years, 3 years? What are the obstacles that these guys out here that are building this need to be able to overcome? And kind of give us some insight, being in the weeds with everything.
Yeah. So at first we created Coin just because we thought it was a better solution, but then we started to understand how it fits into the ecosystem of wearables and how this is all working out. So one of the things that I realized personally was that the smartphone is a powerful device. It does pretty much anything you want. It can pay, it can tell you the time, it can keep track of things, kind of like a Fitbit, of your exercise. But what's happening is that there's a bunch of smart folks who can build all sorts of devices that are really, really designed for one use case. And in some cases, those use cases are convincing enough to bring it out of the phone. And it's creating this market right now. So, for Coin, for example, the act of paying with your phone, it's technologically possible. But if you go try to pay with your phone on a daily basis, then it's very difficult to get that transaction accepted. And that creates a room for something like Coin to come about.
Yep. I totally dig it. So with that, right, you guys are seeing this and you're seeing this kind of future evolving. What are some of the difficulties you think that financial institutions are going to have adopting things like Coin and some of the later competitors that are going to come out soon, or even from that piece with Square? Like, what are the things that you see keep them awake at night with technology like this?
It's I think for financial institutions, it's all about being on top of the mind. So if you look at a smartphone, on a smartphone you can add all of your different financial cards, and they all kind of gets, put into the phone, into an app, and inside the corner of an app in the setup screen. So it largely leaves your mind. It just kind of happens, and you see the bill end of the month. So that's a challenge because you become less and less relevant and more replaceable. So I think one of the key things is to keep yourself, higher on the level, keep the anchor from a person, on you, so they understand that this is something which is a financial related instrument, such as a card-like device, something that consumers over the years have been, kind of trained to trust, to know that this card-like interface is, it'll pay, it'll work, excuse me, it's something that I've gotten used to as a habit, or the consumers have gotten used to as a habit. So keeping it around is going to be key.
So no, I totally dig it. I think one of the things that I'm really kind of interested in, with what you guys have chosen and where you guys have gone, specifically with mimicking the credit card. Do you see this as a culture, as a society, ever being able to accept invisible transactions, moving it away from the tangible? Because right now there's a barrier in my mind. I have to pull out my card and swipe it. I feel safe that way. What do you see the future looking like from that end? Do you see us ever as a culture being able to accept it? What are some of the barriers you think we need to overcome in order to accept that as a culture?
I think the barrier is the fact that the market is so large. In the US, there's about 200 million people who pay with cards, and there's tens of millions of merchants, and they all need to get on the same page to move forward. So the invisible payment is really interesting to me because that's the ultimate experience. That's when, let's say you're going shopping for food or you're dry cleaning or whatever it is, all you would do is you would walk in, do whatever you have to do, and then you just walk out. There's no line, there's no bill on your desk where you have to sign. It just kind of happens for you. Your identity is secured, so any establishment will know exactly it's you, and then the payment, and the payment happens seamlessly. So for that to happen, everybody needs to get on board and then move forward together.
Yep.
And to do that, it's a really difficult proposition.
No, I think it's great. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the audience?
It has come up a lot and super exciting. It's kind of like a dream of mine to use a coin to pay, with Bitcoin. So, but there's nothing on our roadmap for it right now. But I'd love to see it done. It would be great.
Couple other questions? What's holding you back? From doing the Bitcoin thing, what's holding you back?
Well, we have to find the right person to work with who can help us do this. And, it's all about, and we have to find time ourselves to enable it. So basically, finding the right person and then finding time ourselves to integrate is what is stopping us. Because at first, we want to focus on delivery of what we already promised, to our backers.
That's great. All right, a couple more questions from the audience. We got room for at least one more. Go ahead.
What's like the 5-year big picture of this startup? Like, what do you want to disrupt, right? Because you're already doing crazy stuff, but what do you see, like, what industry? Because it seems big.
Yeah, so, by the way, I know that guy, but I haven't seen him in a couple of years. So, if you look into the future, in this super large market, it's very difficult to guess where it's all going to go. So what we're counting on is that if we build a device that people actually like to use day after day, and they anchor, payment and commerce especially to it, then we can enable experiences as our technology improves with later versions of our product. And that goes back to the invisible payment thing. So if a coin is extremely powerful, because right now it's a really small, low-power device. If it's a more powerful device, it has a better screen and it has better capabilities, and like consumers have anchored payment and commerce to it. We can drive all sorts of cool experiences in everyday life. And one of the places where I'm really interested is in the line of connected devices. How are devices working together behind the scenes to help you live your day a little easier, make your day a little easier, make it a little better, make it a little more secure.
How are you reacting to becoming chip and pin?
That's a good question. So for chip and pin, our strategy is really simple. As the world adopts chip and pin, you will enable the technology and coin to do the same.
Well, the world has, the United States has.
Yeah.
Right. So let me take that back. As the United States adopts chip and pin, we'll go back and the technology is something that we can handle. So we have to put it into the system at some point, and it's going to be a transition period for several years where this happens, and we'll be able to have the technology and coin to go with that.
Right, so that's great. Thank you so much for your time you spent with us. It's such a blessing. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.